Well, the Cincinnati men's basketball team is fresh off an emphatic win in conference play Wednesday night. They scored 93 points in a 10-point win over UCF. In this week's edition of Bearcats All Access, I sit down with head coach Wes Miller along with one of his players, and we head down to New Orleans for several Bearcats-related storylines ahead of Super Bowl 59 tomorrow night. Bearcats All Access starts right now.
Bearcats All Access, sponsored by All Good Home Improvements.
All right, Coach, a little bit of a sigh of relief, I guess. Wednesday night, big win in conference play. You turn the page, you get back on the right track. What did you like about that outstanding offensive performance in Orlando?
I thought our guys just played with confidence. You know, I think they just played with the free mind, made plays, didn't dwell on a bad play or a bad decision, and played to the next possession. And I thought that kind of mentality and approach was what was needed, and it was good that they did that and were able to find some success.
Okay, 93 points scored. That's 22 points higher than your previous season high in conference play. Was that something that you expected going in might be able to happen, or was it more of a case of like, man, it just finally clicked?
Well, I think a couple things. I think, you know, Central Florida is the fastest paced team in our league in terms of length of possession. You know, they can shoot the ball very quick and play at a fast pace. We've wanted to get up and down the floor this year, and so that kind of plays into some opportunities for us in the open court. So I thought we got some easy baskets in the open court. You know, their style of play probably leads to a higher possession game, which means more points. But quite frankly, our guys looked confident. They made basketball plays. They looked like the versions of themselves that we're used to seeing around here that we haven't seen as much recently. And, you know, sometimes it really is that simple.
3 days prior to Wednesday night's game, you essentially called out everybody in the program, said there was a lack of effort collectively. It certainly didn't seem like that was the case Wednesday night. What was the difference?
We have a group that, to be successful, needs to play with the highest level of effort and toughness and competitive nature. You know, at times, you know, we haven't seen it to the standard we expect over the last month. And as a coach, if you have the exact reason why that's happening, you fixed it by now. You know, the point blank, the more we've driven and the more we've challenged, it hasn't always helped with this group. I think the thing that's been clear to me is when they carry a lot on their shoulders and feel a lot of pressure to perform, they kind of lose, you know, their ability to just play. And over the last couple days, I saw them get back to just playing basketball.
Okay, so up next tonight, game against a BYU team that, look, it didn't go well in Provo a couple weeks ago. What did you learn from that game or since that game that leads you to believe it could be a different outcome tonight?
For the first half, we played decent basketball. Now the second half was something completely different. You know, like any game in this league, you have to put two halves together. You know, it's not good enough just to play in a stretch. You have to be able to do it for a collective 40 minutes. This BYU team may be as good of a roster as there is in college basketball from top to bottom. I mean, it's terrific. So you're going to have to really play for 40 minutes to beat them. They bring back guys that are really old. You know, whether they're probably older because of the Mormon mission, but they're also in their 4th or 5th year of college basketball. So they're guys that are in their mid-20s. And some of the better wings and shooting players and decision-making players in our league. From top to bottom, it's as good of a roster, as well supported of a program as there is in college basketball right now, and I think that shocks people. But BYU may be the most supported financial program in college basketball with an incredible roster of experience and depth. It's going to be hard for anybody on any given night, but we're capable of playing with anybody when we play the right way and we play with confidence.
Well, we are just outside of 24 hours away from Super Bowl 59, and as has become the case year in and year out, there's no shortage of Bearcats-related storylines in New Orleans. That's next on Bearcats All Access. Well, Super Bowl 59 tomorrow night will mark 6 consecutive Super Bowls with a University of Cincinnati alum on the field. And plenty of Bearcat storylines to be had this week in New Orleans. Of course, Travis Kelce, along with Brian Cook, even Andy Reid. Dan Horde was there on the scene Monday for Super Bowl opening night.
Hey Bearcat fans, I'm Dan Horde at the Super Bowl in New Orleans. The Chiefs taking on the Eagles, and there are all sorts of Cincinnati Bearcat ties.
What's up, Bearcats?
All right, Mekhi Becton, you played for Scott Satterfield at Louisville. Any advice for University of Cincinnati players who are playing for Coach Satterfield now?
Give him your hardest, and he'll love you. Either way, he's going to love you, but give him your hardest.
We're obviously very proud of Jason Kelsey and Travis in Cincinnati. What made Jason Kelsey one of the best ever to play your position?
When you're a smaller guy playing O-line, I feel like he taught me so much just schematically and being able to put your hands in the right spot or your feet in the right spot. Just so many tips and tricks to learn and get better. And he was just a genius the way he thought and how he performed and played 100%. But you know, there was so much to learn from him.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but they did have their podcast there.
Correct.
And it was massive, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, I think just that in general, I think they do a good job, especially Travis, when he scores, throwing up to UC. And, you know, they're very prideful in the fact that they went to UC and how much it elevated their careers and how much fun they had. So, yeah, no, I mean, again, watching what they did at that arena was pretty electric.
Despite being a walk-on, he is very proud of his alma mater. Did he used to brag about Cincinnati in your room?
Yeah, he was very proud of that he was at Cincinnati. And we had Connor Barwin and Selleck and that group of guys are very close. It's a very close group, though. They're all my three favorite guys, too.
Coach, you've had at least one University of Cincinnati guy on your roster for 20 consecutive years.
Yeah, listen, I've been fortunate. I think at one time I had the most on the team at one time. They're tough guys, tough guys. Love to play the game, and they're humble in their own way. I mean, you take the Kelseys and people go, these guys have this crazy personality and they're extroverts, but you know what? They're humble guys. Deep down, they love to play.
Travis Kelsey? Travis Kelsey, a Cincinnati guy. I forgot about that. I like Travis Kelsey. My friend actually told me Travis Kelsey was going to be good back in the day, like when he put his first rookie, and it turned out to be really true, so that's pretty cool.
I've been talking to the president, Mark Donovan, of Kansas City with it, and, you know, it's been really cool to hear that the Bearcats are going to be at Arrowhead next year for the opening night, and then obviously against a great program like Nebraska, it'll definitely get Bearcats excited, and I know I'll be in attendance cheering on the Cats for sure.
I want to talk to you about the last 5 years. Peach Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. How about that 5-year run? I mean, seriously, that is a remarkable 5-year period.
Yeah. No, thank you, bro. Thank you for saying that. Oh, you forget about it.
At what point in your UC jersey did you start to think this was possible?
Maybe after the Georgia game.
Okay, the Peach Bowl.
Yeah. Maybe after that, I was like, okay, I might have a nick for this nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Bearcats, baby? Man, I would love to have another live show down there, man. We had too much fun.
Well, it's not often you see a college athlete redshirt late in his career, much less the 4th year he spends on campus, but that's the case for one UC basketball player. We will sit down with him next on Bearcats All Access. Well, Bearcats head basketball coach Wes Miller arrived here on campus back in 2021. Now, fast forward about 3.5 years, just one player remains on the roster from that time. That is C.J. Anthony, a senior from Columbus, and he's been a key part of this roster both in the locker room and on the scout team. And look, it's not often a player redshirts late in his career, but that's what C.J. Anthony is doing in his 4th year on campus for a couple different reasons. A, C.J. wants to make sure he can graduate from the University of Cincinnati, and head coach Wes Miller wants to make sure CJ has a chance to shine elsewhere in his 5th year. I sit down now with CJ Anthony. So CJ, in this era, in this age of college sports where there's the transfer portal and there have been so many changes, It's been a priority for you to stick this out at UC. You've been here now 4 years. Why was that so important for you to see this thing out here on campus in Clifton?
Obviously, I have schools that were interested in me before and, wanted me to come to school, but going to places and I met with Coach Miller, he kind of really gave me like an opportunity that I couldn't turn down. Obviously, come to this great university, it's a great basketball program. He really came through for me at that moment. He's big on loyalty, and same with me. So he gave me an opportunity that I couldn't pass up, and every year we kept getting better. Then every year I seen the vision more and more. So, it just made me want to stay, made me want to, stick it out with him and see how far this thing go.
Well, outside of just the fact that college sports have changed, this program, this athletics program as a whole, has changed a lot over the course of your time here. It's now a Big 12 program. How have you seen this basketball program grow in just your 4 seasons here?
I feel like it's growing every day. Obviously, from my first day being on campus as a freshman to, where I'm standing at right now as a senior. So it's been a blessing just to be able to be here and then to be able to see the progression, and then not only with basketball, but with all the different sports. I could see the love for the game way more, through Cincinnati.
How are you a different person now than you were 4 years ago when you arrived here?
Coming as a freshman, I feel like I wasn't, too young, but obviously I had some stuff I had to work through, but I feel like being here, I've been able to grow as a man. I've been able to form connections here, form bonds with coaches, players, staff, or just people on the campus. Being from Columbus, not too far from home, the home feeling, but still far enough away to be your own person. It's taught me a lot.
How are you a better basketball player than you were when you arrived at Cincinnati?
I think it probably just going to owning in on everything every day. Growing up, my pops had a saying nobody works harder than us. So coming into here, I had stuff with my game, but tuning my game up and just taking the time every day to really work on, shooting or the ball handling, or if that's getting in some film sessions with some of my coaches, just to understand the game better. I feel like that's kind of where I took my jump at. You
said the phrase with your pops was, nobody works harder than us.
Yeah.
Where did that start?
That's kind of been a part of our motto is just life. It wouldn't just be basketball, but anything we do. My teammates I had younger, they would say the same thing. My dad was a coach, so it'll start with me, then it'll start with the teammates believing in it, then it'll start with the parents in the program. They're saying it. It's kind of cool, too, because when I get to Cincinnati, that's already my mindset that you meet a guy like Coach Miller, and nobody works harder than Coach Miller, so it's kind of like it's fun to have that same at-home connection, then bring it to Cincinnati and thrive off of that.
At some point down the road, life after basketball will come. What does life after basketball look like for C.J. Anthony?
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm going to college right now, trying to, get my degree. But my whole thing with, obviously, like you said, when you sit off for so much time, you have time to think. But the resilient part of me is stay in the moment, if that makes sense. So I don't want to try to plan out what I'm going to do. Obviously, you want to have options and you want to build stuff that you can rely on. But for me, it's just attacking every day, the best I can. Then whatever happens in the next couple of days after that, then that's just God's plan, and I'll just be okay with it.
Keys to Success, sponsored by Columbia Hyundai and Genesis of Montgomery.
Well, from his playing days here in town at Mount Healthy High School to Howard University and later back home to the University of Cincinnati, where he helped lead the Bearcats to the college football playoff, Brian Cook is now in the NFL and can say he's been to the Super Bowl 3 times. He's a true hometown hero. And in this edition of the Let's Reign podcast, Dan Hoard sits down with Brian in New Orleans ahead of Super Bowl 59.
Hey Bearcat fans, I'm Dan Hoard at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, where there are all sorts of Bearcat ties. Obviously Travis Kelce. Andy Reid has had a Bearcat on his roster every year for the past 20 years. Connor Barwin is an executive with the Philadelphia Eagles. But up first on Let's Reign, a conversation with a Cincinnati kid who played at UC and is going to start for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, safety Brian Cook. I want to talk to you about the last 5 years. Peach Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl.
We went back.
How about that 5-year run? I mean, seriously, that is a remarkable 5-year period.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Thank you for telling me that. Oh, you forget about it.
I mean, so this Super Bowl is going to be special for you because you're starting. How significant is that for you?
It's pretty big. I think just everybody's a starter, so I can go in mentality to like wherever I do to help the team win, and then set the tone early. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we have other guys that come in and rotate and things of that nature, but having the opportunity to start off and lead this team the way I can and to another ring, like it's a gift and an honor. It's a gift and an honor.
So you and your teammates are trying to make history on Sunday. There's never been an NFL three-peat. Can you describe what that achievement would mean for everybody in the organization?
It would mean everything, you know, obviously for the organization, but I think, you know, the guys that put them helmets on, like, we're going to remember these for the rest of our lives, like going out there, like hearing the play call, coming in the microphones and giving us the call and executing the play and play after play. Like, we know, like, time is always moving, so the first play snap, boom, next play continues. We have moments in the game, and we're watching ourselves really, like, accomplish history. It's like we have a story to tell, you know?
In this special edition of the Let's Reign podcast from Super Bowl opening night Monday in New Orleans, Dan Hoard sits down with Bearcats football legend Connor Barwin, who starred for the Bearcats as both a tight end and a defensive end before spending a decade as a player in the NFL. He's now the director of strategy and development for the Philadelphia Eagles and hopes to win his first Super Bowl tomorrow night.
I'm Dan Hoard at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and I think you'll recognize this guy, former Bearcat tight end and defensive end, Connor Barwin. Went on to have a great career in the NFL, and now is an executive with the Philadelphia Eagles, hoping to get a Super Bowl ring over the Kansas City Chiefs. Check him out on this episode of Let's Reign. The Philadelphia Eagles are back in the Super Bowl, and former Bearcat Connor Barwin is a key part of the organization, the head of football development and strategy. This is an impressive title. What does that entail?
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you.
Nice
Thanks for
seeing
being
you.
here. Exciting times for the Eagles. Yeah, I played for the Eagles, of course, and then when I stopped playing in 18, Howie asked me to come work for the organization. I've been there now full-time 5 years, 6 years overall, and my role, you know, is to do a lot of different things, but to sort of summarize it, it's really to sort of collaborate with our coaches, our front office, our analytics, our doctors, our trainers, with our players at the core, and make sure we have a plan and a strategy to make sure they're all getting better, and communicate with them and make sure all of our players, especially the younger players, know what the vision is for them on the team and find a way to get there. So as a team, we're all getting better, and especially our younger players are continuing to improve year in and year out.
So with your playing experience and your MBA from Penn and working in one of the best front offices in the NFL, are you tracking for like a GM type role? Is that something you would like to do someday?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I really love what I do. I do think I'm fortunate to have the background and the perspective from being a former player, from playing in 4 different organizations, pretty well-run organizations, and great coaches from Sean McVay, Gary Kubiak, Doug Peterson, Nick Sirianni, and to work and sort of see behind the curtain with the Eagles in the front office. So, you know, is there a goal sometime to be sort of making the final decision at these teams? Maybe, but right now, I really do love what I do and working with the people that I get to work with. And Gary Kubiak said to me early on, he said, it's not worth it unless you enjoy the people you work with, you know, with how much work it takes to do this. And right now, I really do enjoy being in Philadelphia, enjoy the people that I get to work with.
You were born and raised in Detroit, went to UC, as you noted, played for 4 different NFL teams, but somehow you become like Mr. Philly. I mean, a key part of the community, very well known for your charitable efforts in the city. What was it about Philly? Why did that connect so well for you and your family?
Yeah, you know, Philly's a great place. It's a great, you know, it's located in a great place in the country, right? In the Northeast, it's easy to get to a bunch of great cities. It's easy to get to Cincinnati and back to Philly. it's a sports town, right? There's a lot of similarities to sort of the sports and the blue-collar nature is where I grew up in Detroit. But at the end of the day, for me, if you love sports the way I do, I love basketball, I love football, I love all of it. In Philly, that's what it's about. The city is built on sports, and the whole city connects around the sports teams. And so I've loved when I went there in 2013 to play, loved playing there. And then when I was done, again, Howie told me to come back and work for him when I was done playing. So right away, I knew that was where I wanted to work.
There's been this unbelievable Cincinnati connection with the Eagles over the years. I mean, you played with Trent Cole and Brent Selleck, and it's continued over the years. Is there a thing between the Cincinnati guys that have been with the Eagles?
Well, yeah, we're all really close. I mean, it's pretty incredible that for a couple of years there, 13, 14, maybe 15, there were 4 starters on the Eagles from the University of Cincinnati. Me and Trent on defense, and then Kelsey and Selleck on offense. So we all have that bond together. Obviously, I think we all still live in Philadelphia, and we're all pretty close. As we were just talking before the interview, Kelsey's still around all the time. Selleck still works, part-time for the team, so we still see each other all the time. And, I think Howie, I don't know, appreciates guys that come from UC. I know you guys got some good players coming out this year that we're watching, so hopefully we can get a couple good Bearcats.
What a treat to visit with former Bearcat Connor Barwin. And here's a quick reminder to rate, like, and subscribe to the Let's Rain podcast.
Well, that does it for another edition of Bearcats All Access. Later tonight, the UC men's basketball team takes the floor here inside Fifth Third Arena, looking for revenge against BYU. And then Tuesday night, another home game against another team from out west, that is Utah. Bearcats All Access is right here every Saturday morning at 11:30. Until next time, have a good one, everybody.